Hey everybody, welcome back to our neck of the woods. So today's video, apparently our front and back porches or our front and back decks are not legal, and we need to go ahead and fix that. So I keep seeing on like Facebook videos and YouTube shorts and Instagram little short videos stolen from TikTok and everything else. Apparently our decks aren't legal. There's something that we forgot to do. It's very small, very simple. So this video is going to be very short and sweet, but we basically have to get this deck to attach to the house better. We need to go ahead and fix that today. And again, it's not really anything big, but it needs done. And I just thought I would talk about that. So people online, they seem to be fighting, being like, oh, that's pointless, that's not going to do anything. But if you've seen some videos or some pictures of decks failing, it actually does kind of make sense. So the first failure I've seen with some houses or with some house decks and stuff, basically this ledger right here pulls away from the house and you have a catastrophic failure, which could obviously seriously hurt you or even kill you. And usually when these separate from the house, the problem is flashing wasn't done properly up in here. And since this outside ledger is bolted to the house's normal, like a normal house's rim joist, if you get water back in there, you rot the back of this ledger and you rot the ledger or the rim board up against the house. This all just basically falls apart and the deck goes and it crashes, and it can be, again, very deadly. Now, another failure that I have seen is basically this connection point right here. The failure that I'm talking about is this deck basically pulling away from the house and falling down. So whether this is rotted out or these rot out, the only thing keeping this deck from falling away from the house is literally this nail, and the two on the other side. Those are 3 1/4 inch long nails that go through the joist hanger, through the tiniest little bit of lumber on your joist, and then it's toe-nailed into this ledger right here. That is not any sort of pulling force security there. These guys here are literally only for hang down. They are not for pull strength. I believe it was in the 2015 IRC. They basically need several hanging connections that bolt this guy to this guy. And not only are you bolting it to this guy, the screws that come with these things are like 8 inches long. What they typically, or what they actually want you to do, is not only screw it to this ledger here, not only do they want you to screw it to the rim board on the inside, they also want you to try and hit a floor joist on the inside of the house, so that screw would basically be coming out this way, but on the inside, so that basically it would be screwing into your floor joist on the inside. Now, that does not sound very easy to do, and in fact, we can't even do it here, because on the other side of this foam is solid concrete, and a screw is not going to hold in the solid concrete. So I'm not really worried about this ledger ever separating from the house, because this thing is going to be properly flashed up here. It's being bolted into solid concrete. Unlike normal houses, you really don't go in the concrete. You usually go into, again, your floor joists or your rim boards on the inside. And with this rubberized coating here, we're basically sealing this guy up against the house anyway. So water intrusion back here really is not a big concern, because these things are 8 inch long Titan HD bolts. This thing ain't separating. But I am worried about this connection here separating, and again, code says we have to do it. Now, we essentially have 3 decks, so I am not really worried about all 3 of them separating again. Because, for example, this section of deck right here, from here over to here, that could never ever separate from the house, because not only is that porch never going to come off of the roof because it's bolted to the house roof, you would literally have to pull this guy this way and snap each one of these 6x6s in half out this way for this section of deck ever to come off. It's just not going to happen. Same with the front porch. The front porch is obviously the whole size of the deck, not just this little section here, but there's no way in hell that you could pull the front porch off, snap 6x6s in half. Not to mention the front porch has the stairs that run all the way down that are then bolted down to the ground essentially. So it's almost like right here you've got knee braces pushing up against the front porch. So I'm personally not going to add these braces to the front deck because there's just no way in hell that it can separate. If I get caught by the county, I'll go ahead and add them. But the front porch, not going to happen. This section of the back deck, not going to happen. But technically speaking, from like say this corner right here or this section here over, yeah, that could happen even though this is technically all one deck. But this section here, it is much more of a concern because there is nothing holding this deck up against the house except for those toe-nailed 3 1/4 inch nails that are going through that bracket and going into the house ledger. So how do we fix that? Super easy install. You take one of these brackets, you bolt it up underneath one of the floor joists. You've got dozens more screw locations that now will hold this to the bottom of this guy right here. And then it looks like we're taking some pretty gnarly 3/8 inch bolts that are gonna go into the house ledger. Again, we're not gonna be able to hit all of that because they want you to sink this guy into 3 inches of lumber, which again on a normal house would be the outside ledger, the inside rim board, and then maybe even trying to hit a floor joist. We just don't have that option. We only have 1.5 inches lumber. So we're only gonna be able to screw that guy in 1.5 inches or bury it beyond in 1.5 inches, and it's just gonna stick into the foam. But we don't have a choice. But in my opinion, something is better than nothing. So let's get under the deck, get these things installed, and we'll be done for today in a very short video for you guys. All right, hopefully you can see me down here. Now, we've got a little bit more of a problem, and that is the fact that most people bolt these guys up under the deck like that. Well, as you can see, we would be screwing into foam. So we cannot install these guys on the bottom here like you normally do. We're gonna have to install them on the side, and hopefully we'll be able to get this screw to go through and not hit the bracket on the side here. But again, we don't really have a choice. And then because I didn't spend a whole lot of time reading the code, I thought someone mentioned or somewhere it mentioned you need at least 4 of these per deck. So I guess for us, we would need a total of 12. We'd need 4 on the lower deck, 4 on this deck over here, and then 4 on the front porch. Again, I don't know if I'm gonna get caught or if the building inspector is even gonna catch it. Again, I personally am just gonna feel better the fact that they are there. And this deck, for example, right here, isn't the largest deck in the world. So 4 of these and 4 of these are probably gonna be some pretty strong pulling power. I doubt I'm gonna have like 200 people on this lower deck all like jumping in that direction and trying to like get it to pull off. But if anyone down below finds out that I did this wrong or that I need them, you know, like every other joist or something ridiculous, because these things are not cheap. These were like $40 for 4 of them. So very expensive. Most people are like, I think Simpson has the IRC like in their pocket. The fact that they can say, oh, this has to be building code, and then they charge an arm and a leg for them. But I'm just gonna try and space these things out evenly, put 4 of them here, put 4 of them over there. Again, hopefully I don't get caught on the front and it just ends up being what it ends up being. All right, looks like we should be good in this little notch here or this little notch here. Doesn't really matter. As for length, we obviously wanna get a lot of screw into this rim here, so probably right about there should be good. And there we go. Is it perfect? No. Is it exactly what Simpson wanted? No. Could I, in my body weight, be able to grab on that screw and pull it out of the ledger? Absolutely not. But like I said, it does make me feel a little bit better. All right, guys, got it done. Like I said, lower deck got 4. This deck over here, actually on the other side of the porch, got all 4 of those. And these again, these are the Simpson deck tension tie installation kit. It's called the DTT1Z, and this one's actually called a kit because it has 4 of them in there. Again, not exactly per code of what Simpson wants. They want all of those threads to screw into lumber. Unfortunately, we do not have that option, but I can't screw it in the foam and have it connect in the foam. So what are you gonna do? But the instructions do say if you really want it secure on your house, or you have an inspector that's very anal, they do want you to hit an inside rim joist or just a joist itself. But if you don't have one and you're putting them on the bottom here, for example, and you're screwing in, or even off to the side, if you don't have a joist on the other side, they are fine with you even taking a board like this, bolting that board up to the bottom of 2 joists, then installing that bracket on the bottom of this board, so that way somewhere in this area right in here, you're going through your rim joist on the inside, and then you're hitting a joist on the inside of the house. Don't exactly know how that's going to be possible if this deck is at a different height than what your inside is. Like, let's say your floor joists are all the way down here and this deck's higher, or vice versa, the deck's way lower. Don't know how you're ever going to screw into something and get it. But again, that was just an option. If you want to go all the way through everything and hit some joists on the inside of the house, you can mount that bracket in any which direction that you want, as long as you're going through 3 inches of lumber. But I guess for us and our county inspector, we'll keep that quiet. But let me know what you guys think. If you got any questions, hit us up down below. And until next time, we'll see you then. Take care.